to Sarah's Stampin' Retreat. Today we're going to be talking about the Stamparatus, which is Stampin' Up Stamp Positioning tool. Now there are lots of stamp positioning tools on the market, but this one is pretty unique to any of the other ones that I've seen, mostly because the first thing that's unique is it has two plates rather than one, and the other thing is that the plates can move along like this, so you can stamp in different places. So we're going to be making some cards today using a few different techniques. Some of them you can do with any of the stamp positioning tools, and some of them are ones that are best created with the Stamparatus. So the first thing that I'm just going to show you that's a good reason to have a stamp positioning tool, and I'm not actually going to make a card from it, I've just got a piece of scrap paper, and this is just to show you why a stamp positioning tool can be better for some things than just an acrylic block. And so I'm just going to pick this up with my top. Because I'm using a rubber stamp, I don't need this bit in. So with the Stamparatus you need this part if you're using photopolymer stamps, and you don't need it if you're using rubber stamps, because the rubber stamps are that bit thicker. So I'm going to ink up the stamp particularly badly on purpose, just so that you can see what's happening. Then I'm going to stamp that, and look, we've got a really poor image. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink it up again, and then I'm just going to pull it over. And because it's in the same place, it goes over the same, and you can see it's not quite inked up nicely again, so I'm going to ink it up again. And that's often the way, I think, with these particularly big stamps. Sometimes it's hard to get a nice image first time, so that's where something like the Stamparatus, the stamp positioning tool, is really good. You can actually do this with any of the stamp positioning tools, because you can put it down in exactly the same place and keep on doing it until you're happy with your image. So I think if I was going to use this, then I'd probably do it one more time just so it was really nice and bright, but I'm just using this to show you what we're doing today, and I think you get the idea from that. So we'll move that and we'll start making some cards. Right, so then I'm going to put in some Whisper White cardstock. I want to, on this one, do some kind of ombre look stamping, so I'm going to use these 3 stamp pads. You could put all the colour together on the one stamp, then they mix together and they get on the other stamp pads. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with this one at the top, and I'm just going to ink up the very top of the stamp like this. And then I'm going to pop that down. And I might do that again because I want to just ink up that top bit here a bit better. So there we go, I'm happy with that. So then I'm going to clean off that bit of stamp, just get all the excess ink off, and then I'm going to pop some. So we started off with the Magenta Madness, then this is Rococo Rose, and I'm just going to try and pop that in the middle of the stamp. And I've kind of gone over a bit of this as well. I'm going to take it off. So I've got some on the bit that says wishing, and because I don't want it on that. And then I can pop that down like that. And I'm going to do that once more as well. And then I'm going to clean the Rococo Rose off. Now I'm just going to take this off a second so you can see exactly what I'm doing. And then I'm just going to link up the bottom with the Melon Mambo. And I'm going to pull that down. And you can see that this would have been almost impossible to do without a stamp positioner, because actually doing that with an acrylic block and getting it lined up every time would be really, really difficult. But I'm really pleased with how that's turned out with all the different tones on it. So I've cut our sentiment down to 3¼ inches square, and then I've got a piece of black cardstock that's 3½ inches square. Then we're just going to make a really simple card. So I've got a 5-inch square black card blank. This is 4¾ inches square, and this is a piece of the paper from this gorgeous Flower and Field paper pack, and this is a celebration item. So until the end of February you can actually get this for free with a £45 order. And you can see it's full of really gorgeous florals. Don't actually have much of this front paper left, but you can see it's just another really gorgeous floral. That one's actually my favourite out of the pack, which is why I've used so much of it. So I actually really like these spots on the other side as well. I might need to use those for another project. So stick that onto the front of there, and stick this onto that piece of black. Then I'm just going to put some dimensionals, some double-sided foam pads on the back of that. Then we've just got a really cute, simple little card that's just made a little bit more special by the fact that it's got the kind of ombre effect wording on it. So for this next card, I'm going to use that same big stamp. So I want the stamp this time to be in the middle. I've got a piece of Whisper White cardstock here, and that is measuring 4¾ inches square. So I'm going to pick that up, and I'm going to ink it up with Versamark sticky ink. If you saw my 5 ways to use gilding flakes last week, then you will be very familiar with this technique now, because we're about to use gilding flakes again. And so I'm just going to pour some heat and stick powder over my sticky embossing ink and Versamark ink. So then I'm just going to pat that over here. And then I'm just going to heat this with my heat tool, and you just want to heat it until it just starts to melt. You don't want to overheat it. And then I'm going to pop some gilding flakes on it. And then I'm just burnishing that in with my fingers. And I can pop the spare embossing flakes in there. And then I'm just going to take, this is 1/4 of one of our Stampin' sponges, and I'm just going to buff that off. So you can see all the spare bits are coming off, so that then we've got a really nice clean sentiment. So then I've got my wishing happiest of birthdays, and I've just got a post-it note, and I'm sticking that over the top so that we don't stamp on that bit. I need to put my pad in because I'm going to use some photopolymer stamps now. And then I'm also just going to pop this not quite in the corner because it's easiest to stamp when it's not in the corner. So on the back of your Stamparatus you get some of these magnets. So I'm just going to pop that magnet on there, and then I'm going to take this Stripey stamp from this pattern play stamp set. You can see there's lots of different patterns that you can use out of this, and I want to put that and on the top of my card. And then I'm going to take my Night and Navy ink first, and I'm going to stamp that down. And then I'm going to just clean that off with my Stampin' chamois. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this down one place. So you can see then I'm going to stamp it over, and it'll be parallel exactly to the blue ones, and we'll have nice spacing between all the sets going down because they'll all be spaced nicely. So I'm just going to put over that one, that. I'm just going to do that one again because where the post-it note is, it's not stamped very well either side of the post-it note. So I'm just going to press down particularly well there and particularly well here. So then I'm going to take it down one more place, and I'm going to do some navy again. Let's just stamp that really well around the post-it note again. And then shaded spruce again. And then we'll go down one more time and we'll finish off with some more Night of Navy. We do the big reveal. So then you can see that that looks really cute with the stripes around it. I'm actually just going to go and cut this down a little bit further. So I've cut this down, and then I've got a 5x5 inch Night of Navy card blank, and I've got a 4 3/4 inch Whisper White card blank, which is, we actually have basic white as opposed to Whisper White in the catalogue at the moment. The supplier that used to make our Whisper White unfortunately went under during pandemic, so now we've swapped to a different supplier and it's called Basic White, but it's the same thing essentially. So I'm just going to stick some tear and tape carefully down the side of this piece of Whisper White cardstock, and then down the other side as well. So then I'm just going to take these pieces off the side, and I'm going to grab my gilding flakes again. I'm just going to rub those onto that bit of tape. And like I said, I actually did 5 different ways to use gilding flakes video last week that I'll link to. So if you like the look of this gilding flakes, then check out that video as well. I had so much fun playing with them for that video that I want to use them on everything now. And let's just go over that with our stamping sponge and get all the excess off. Now we've just got that lovely gold border down the side of that piece. So we can layer this one on top. So I feel like maybe I should have just done the border across the top and the bottom as well. So I'm just going to quickly do that now. Right, so let's grab some more and pop it along there. So let's just rub over that with the sponge again. So actually I've decided to kind of change my mind a little bit about where this card's going. And I thought that actually it might be nice to do the stamping again, but on a piece of Night of Navy cardstock, because I think it will show up just a little bit better. So I'm going to pop that there. And then I'll ink that up with our Versamark ink. So I have general ideas in my head before I start these videos, but I've never actually made the cards before. So sometimes I like you to see like my creative process a little bit, because we all have those things and we think, it's not quite worked the way I wanted it to. I did want that wishing you the happiest of birthday to stand out just a little bit more. So I'm going to do it on the navy and we'll see if that works a little bit better. So let's pop our heat and stick powder on. Now I can just heat that up again. So that's now sticky, so we can pop our flakes on. So these are widely known as gilding flakes. These ones, the Stampin' Up brand just happens to be called Gilded Leafing. So I'm just burnishing that down with my fingers. Let's pop the rest of those into pot. And then let's just go over that with our sponge again. I'm just lightly rubbing over that with the sponge to get off all the extra bits. There's our lovely gilded sentiment. So I'm just going to go and cut that down. So I've just cut a piece of white cardstock, 1/4 of an inch bigger than this piece of cardstock. And I'm just going to do the same technique as we did on the outside piece, just to make a gilded border on this. So I've put the tape all the way around the outside. Now I can just put some of that gilded leafing on again. So it's turning out to get a good workout in this card. And if you don't want to do these borders, you could just use gold foil sheet instead. But I just like the texture that this gilded leafing gives. So now I'm going to glue all this down. So I'm going to glue the sentiment onto this piece, and then I'm going to glue the stripy piece onto the white piece. So actually, because we've ended up going with the Night of Navy, then we didn't really need the post-it note. Obviously you could just do the stripes straight across, really simple. And I'd actually love to know in the comments whether you like to see the creative process and you like to see how we've got to the final card, or do you just want me to cut those bits out and just show you how we make the final version. So then there's our finished card, and you can see there's loads of like texture and stuff within that gold that makes it look really nice and tactile. So the next technique that we're going to do is a great one for if you're bulk making, you've got lots of sentiments to do. So I've got a piece of So Saffron cardstock here, and I'm just going to pop it into my oval punch. I'm just going to punch those out. And I'm going to use this piece of cardstock as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop this into my Stamparatus, and I'm going to get my magnet and pop that down so that it stays in the same place. And this is just so that every time we put one of these in, it's in the same place. So I'm going to pop that into there. And then I'm going to place this on the top. And pull that down. And I'm going to ink it up with my Memento Tuxedo black ink. And I'm just going to pop that onto there. Then I'm really happy with that placement. So I'm just going to take this out. That's really nice placement on there. And so then when I need to do my next one, I can just pop the next one in. I know it's in the same place as last time, so I can just ink up my stamp again, pop it down, and know that I've got the right placement every time without having to kind of worry and move things around. So that's a really nice way of just doing those sentiments, and then it's easy to bulk make a simple card. Just keep on doing that, and you'll have loads of sentiments done in no time. And the other good thing about doing it like that is that you know that's in the right place, so if you don't ink it up properly and you need to do it again, you know that your oval is going to be in the same place again. You can do all the stamping first and then cut out, but it's very difficult to get the placement and you have to line it up each time. I find this way simpler. So just to show you, that happy birthday sentiment that we just used is from this Oval Occasions cling stamp set, and that coordinates with it. You can see that all of these kind of fit within one of those ovals. So I'm going to make a super simple card out of that, because I think if you're going to bulk make something you need a simple card. So this is just the other oval out of here, so I just did it out of basic black cardstock. So then I can just mount my So Saffron oval on top of the basic black one. And I love having these oval punches because it's so much quicker to punch when you're doing bulk making rather than run something through a die cutting machine. So then I've got a basic black card blank here, and I'm just going to layer it up. So I've got, this is a 5x5 inch card blank, and I've got a piece of So Saffron here that's 4 3/4 inches square. And then I've got a piece of, this is some of the paper out that paper pack that we used earlier, the Field and Flowers. So that's the paper pack that you can get free with a £45 order at the moment till the end of February. and then I'm just mounting that onto a piece of basic black cardstock that is 4 1/4 inches square. And then I've got a 1/2 inch by 4 inch piece of So Saffron cardstock here that I'm just going to pop across here. This is just a super simple card layout. It's really nice for this kind of card, and especially if you've got lots of cards to make at once. It's nice just to have a nice simple layout, and it really makes the most of the really beautiful DSP as well. And I'm just going to pop a couple of double-sided pads on the back of there. And I'll pop that onto here. And then I'm going to pop some on the back of here as well. Then there's our third card for today completed. Then for our fourth card, we're going to make a nice wreath. So to do that, I want to make a template, and you can use the template over and over again. So I'm going to make a wreath on a 4 by 4 piece of cardstock. So I want to cut a 4 by 4 inch square in the middle of this piece of cardstock. So I'm just going to take this to the 2 inch mark, and I'm going to cut across to the 6 inch mark, so that I get a 4 inch square. And then I'm going to turn it round, and I know that I started at the 2 inch mark, so if I line this up at 2 inches here, then when we cut we should start at this line here. So I'm going to cut from 2 inches to 6 inches again. And then I want to line this up at 6 inches to do the other line. And then I want to cut 2 inches from this side. So this side starts at 8 1/4. So I want to start from 6 1/4. And then I'll go across to 2 1/4 to make sure that I've got my 4 inches. So then I'm just going to pop this in at 6 inches again. And then I can go from 2 inches to 6 inches again. So then I've got a nice 4 inch square out of there, so my cards should just fit exactly into there, which it does look. And then I also want to do this at this angle here. So then I want to measure the distance between the 2 points. So it's just over 5.5 inches, because we've got an inch this side and then just over 4.5 inches this side. So I want a 4 inch square that's in the middle of that. So I want to make sure both points are on the line. So I'm going to line this up at just over 3/4 like this. And I'm going to make sure that this point is still on the line over here. So my point is lined up at the 6 inch mark. So I want to go 2 inches either side. So I want to go from 4 inches to 6 inches to make sure that I'm in the centre. You can actually do this with dies as well if you've got the right size dies, but I just wanted to show you how you can do it for any size of card. So then I want to do the same process again. I want to turn it round, put both points on the line, and then line it up. So at this point is just over 3/4. It's like 1/8 of an inch over 3/4. And then I'm going to go from 4 to 8 inches again. And you can see that we've done it right because this piece comes out here. And then we're doing the exact same again, just over 3/4 of an inch, making sure that both points are on this middle line. And then we're going from 4 to 8 inches again. And we're turning around again. Just over 3/4 again, making sure both points are on the line. And then we're going to go from 4 to 8 inches again, and that will cut off the final 2 triangles. And there we go. So I know that probably seems like a lot of hassle, but well, now we've got this template and we can use this over and over and over again. So we're going to pop the template into our Stamparatus. Then I'm going to hold that down with my magnet. I'm going to start off with it like this, and I'm going to use the Forever Fern stamp set, and I think I'm going to start off with this piece here. I'm going to pull that down and pick it up, and then I've pulled out Shaded Spruce, Pretty Peacock and Just Jade inks. I'm not sure whether I'm going to use all 3 yet. I might just use 2, but I'm going to start off with the Shaded Spruce, and I'm just going to ink it up. I'm going to pull it down, and then I'm going to turn it so that it's on the diagonal again. Then I can ink it up again, pull it down again, turn it round again, ink it up, pull it down. You can see these leaves have that really lovely shading on them, so it makes it look really gorgeous. So you can see now we've got a perfectly spaced basis of a wreath. So I want to add a little bit more to that. So I'm going to put it in not diagonally but across this time. And I think I'm going to try adding this one with the Just Jade, see what that looks like. This is a nice thing about just playing. We can always just try it out. If it doesn't work, we can just flip the paper over, try again on the other side. Your template's there, we can use that template again and again and again now. So let's try some Just Jade. And I think that I'm actually going to use this on all 8 sides. So I'm going to use it on the pointy bit now. And I'm going to turn it round. Keep going. And then pointy side up. And then round again. So you can see then we've joined up our wreath, and it just adds a nice bit of texture to it with the layers underneath and above. And then I think I'm going to use this Happy Birthday that we just used, that was from the Oval Occasion stamp set, for the sentiment. So I'm going to pop that in the middle, and I think I'm going to use Calypso Coral for that. And then I'm going to add some sequins around the outside. So I've got my pickup tool and I've got my glue dots. And I'm just going to pick up some of the big sequins with my pickup tool, and then I'm just going to pop them onto the glue dots, and then I can peel this off and pop it onto there. and you can see these are the same colour as the Happy Birthday. So I'm picking out all of these Calypso Coral ones so they match our sentiment. And I'm actually using the leaves on here as a guide. I've actually put them on the top of each one of these smaller leaves so that it's nicely spaced around the wreath. So I think that looks really pretty now that it's got some sequins on. Just wondering whether to add some more of the smaller ones or not. I think I might add just a couple of little dots of glue round. So then I'm going to get some of the very small ones. Some really tiny ones in here. And I'm just going to pop them on those tiny blobs of glue that we put down. So I think I need to make my blobs of glue just a little bit bigger. And maybe I'll just do a couple at a time as well so they're not drying as I go around. This, by the way, is the Take Your Pick tool. So it's got a sticky end, it's got a pokey tool end, and this little spatula. And then it also has some embossing tool attachments as well. It's really useful for doing little jobs like this. They're quite fiddly with just your hands. These sequins that I'm putting on, by the way, they're the woven thread sequins. They're really pretty colour selection. So there we are with the smaller sequins added as well. I actually don't think that that's completely necessary. I think it looked pretty without them, but I do like it with them, and I'm a bit of a fiddler. I do like to add bits and pieces. So really pleased with how that looks now. So I'm just going to layer that up. So I've just cut a 5-inch square piece of just jade cardstock, and then a piece of Calypso Coral that's 4 3/4 inches square, and then I've got a 4 1/4 inch square piece of just jade cardstock just to go around here. So I'm just going to layer those up. I didn't intend to do all square cards today, but so far that's what's happened. I do quite like a square card though. Let's add that onto here. And then I'm going to just add some dimensionals to the back. And there's our cute little card, so that's really pretty. I just don't think that you'd get that same effect with doing it yourself with a block, because you just wouldn't get the same spacing. So for our final card, I'm going to use this Touch of Ink stamp set. And this is another celebration stamp set. So this is a huge stamp set. It's got 2 parts to it. So you've got all the outlines on here, and then you've got Hello Friend, Hope, and Thinking of You, and Love. And then you've got all of the bits that you can fill in the images with on here. A little pattern, a leaf, and then you've got Thank You So Much and Best Wishes. So it's a really big stamp set to get for free. So that you can get for free with a £90 purchase until the end of February. And I wanted to use this because it's a two-step stamp. I want to show you how you can bulk make with these. So we're using photopolymer stamps, so we need our black padding. And I'm going to use a 4-inch piece of Whisper White cardstock again. So I'm actually going to bring in the template that we made before because it's actually really useful for doing this as well. So I'm not going to use it in the same way we did before. I'm literally just going to use it so that I know where I'm putting my piece of cardstock each time. So I'm just going to pop my magnet on there to hold it in place. So I want my leaves down here. Then I'm going to have a butterfly perching on the leaves like this. And then I'm going to have thank you so much sentiment as well. I'm going to have that just down here. So I can't put these on the same plate because I want them to sit very close to each other so that the butterfly looks like it's on top of the leaves. So I need to stamp those on 2 different plates. So I'm going to take this away first and I'm just going to stamp the leaf first. So I'm going to ink that up with my Memento black ink. And I can stamp that down. And then I can place my butterfly just where I want it. I think I want it kind of here. And then I can put my thank you so much. And because these aren't too close to each other, I can do those on the same plate. So the other thing that's actually really good about these plates, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but they actually have lines etched into them. So you can just double check against the lines whether the sentiment's straight as well and just line it up on the lines. So you can see I just inked these up a second ago. So the butterfly actually has a little bit of ink still on it. It doesn't matter because this is just a test one so that we can test the layout of what we're doing. And you can see that where I've kind of moved this paper a bit, then I've got a bit of a kind of shadow effect on here, but I'm not too worried about that for now because this is just my test one. I'm just going to use this to get everything where I want it, and then I can use proper pieces going forward. So that's those done. And then I want to use these to fill in the gaps. So let's see which way this goes. I think that goes like that. Right, so what I'm going to do, because you can use both sides of these plates, I'm actually going to use the other side of this to pick this up. And then I'm going to pop the one for the butterfly over the top of there. And I'm going to use the other side of the butterfly one just to pick that up. So then I'm going to use my Just Jade ink on this one. And then I think I'm going to use 2 colours on the butterfly. I'm going to use Bumblebee and Calypso Coral. So I'm going to use the Bumblebee for this middle bit. And I can put that down. And this is similar to the technique that we used on the first card. And then I'm going to use the Calypso Coral and just put Calypso Coral right the way around the outside like this. And then I can put that on there. And then yeah, I'm really happy with that nice effect on the butterfly. So I'm just going to make 2 cards to show you how you would bulk make them. But you would obviously just repeat the process for as many as you want. And I'm actually going to bring in both of my magnets as well. You get 2 magnets with the Stamparatus because I feel like it was slipping around a bit too much. So then the way that you would do this, you would ink up your leaf with the Memento Black, and you can stamp that down. And then you would ink up your sentiment and your butterfly. And then you can just turn them over. And you can ink up the leaves with your Just Jade. Stamp them down. Then you can do the bumblebee on here. And then the Calypso coral. So you don't want to do, this is a perfect example, you don't want to do what I've just done and let the magnets get too close to each other, because they're so strong that they will break each other. So you can get replacement magnets, but you don't want to do that because it can be really sharp what comes off. So I've just broken mine. It's fine, I'll still use it. But just don't let them get too close to each other. I just wasn't paying attention. So then I'm going to pop in the next one. I've managed to get, I think I've had these for 2 or 3 years, I can't remember. I bought them whenever Stampin' Up bought them out. I can't remember exactly how long ago that was. And I've not broken a magnet yet. And yet today I've managed to do just that. So that was very silly. Right, so I'm just going to ink up my stamp, pull it down, and you can see in this way, you know where everything is lined up. You don't have to worry about the placement. You know, everything's going to stamp in the right place. You can just really, after you've done that setup stage, you can really just bang them out. And then turn it over. And you could, if you prefer, do all of the black and then put them back in and do all of the colours. But I just decided that I was going to leave it in and turn the pads over instead of swapping the papers over. And I just want a bit of yellow on there. Bumblebee. And then I'll pop in my Calypso coral on the outside. And you can see that each time you're getting a layout that is exactly the same, so you can bulk make lots at a time. It's really quick because you can just pop your pads down, and that is the real benefit of having the 2 layers on here, because I've essentially been able to do 4 steps of stamping with only 1 tool and just using both the sides of each. So you could make that over and over again really quickly. So then I'm just going to finish these off really simply. I'm just going to glue the piece that we've just stamped onto a 4 1/4 inch piece of Calypso Coral cardstock. I'll do that with both of them. And then I can just pop dimensionals on the back again. And then I could just add those onto a 5 inch basic white card base. And I feel like they're really fresh and pretty, and after you've done the initial setup you could make those so quickly. The other thing you could do that is a bit more expensive but makes the process a lot quicker is you could use foam adhesive sheets on the back instead of stamping dimensionals, and then you can just put a whole sheet on, take the back off. So it depends whether you are more worried about cost or speed. So that's those ones done. So I'll keep this one in and bring the other cards that we've made today in. So here are the cards we made today. I hope you learnt some new techniques, and that if you've been sitting on the fence about whether to get a Stamparatus, then this has maybe helped you decide whether you need it or not. If you do decide to purchase it, then you'll be eligible for that free gift. For example, the 12 by 12 pack of paper that we used for these cards, you could then earn for free if you wanted. So I hope you enjoyed our projects today. If you did, please click like below. You can also click subscribe if you'd like to see future projects. If you click the notifications button and select all, then you'll get notified when I've got new projects online as well. All of the products that we've used today will be listed in the description below, and there'll also be a host code there, so if you add my host code into your basket before you check out, then I'll send you a free gift after the end of the month. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope to see you again soon.